Battlefield 6 is attempting to tackle a lot with this game, a lot of industry-wide hot-button issues, while also attempting to please both veterans and newcomers to the game. One larger point of discussion in the last few years that has jumped to the forefront of the discussion is matchmaking, as well as how games are handling things like cross-play, cross-progression, and others. In an age where interconnectivity is everywhere, and for the most part, the blanket idea of being able to play with any one of your friends regardless of what platform they're playing on is a great one. Sometimes it does present problems that players want addressed for their long-term engagement and enjoyment of the experience. So today we're taking a look at how Battlefield 6 revealed its matchmaking details, plans for crossplay, how things will be handled, as well as things like anti-cheat and everything in between. So drop your thoughts down below, drop a like if you guys enjoyed the video, and make sure to subscribe for more Battlefield 6 coverage. I'd love to have you in the community as we're only just getting started. Now for now, let's get into it. So one of the bigger talking points with the matchmaking that was stressed on from developers is a sort of preferred cross-play system. This, of course, yes, confirms up front, Battlefield 6 will have crossplay. You can play with or against players on all Xbox, PlayStation, Steam, the EA app, the Epic Games launcher, to a degree. So when your friends want to play a game with you, you can jump in, no worries at all. Nice, right? But I did say to a degree, so what's that about? Well, that's where you enter this crossplay system and how it's been slightly tweaked for matchmaking. In a pre-reveal briefing, they mentioned their goal with crossplay is to match players of similar platform first and foremost, prioritizing your matchmaking in a sense of if you play on console, you'll be prioritized to matchmake with other console players. Now, if that's the case, it will only add PC players if there's a need to fill in those lobbies. Crossplay can also be entirely turned off if you don't want to play across different platforms. There's a setting for either on or off with Battlefield 6. So if you just want to play, say, on PlayStation 5 with other PlayStation 5 players, you can. Obviously, that could impact matchmaking times, but it's the surefire way to stay on console between the same console. But this time around, there's no sort of middle ground like console-only crossplay, on or off. But the system inherently tries to keep players of similar platform type together at the very core. So far, it hasn't been mentioned what parties will do to the system if one is on console, another on PC, but I kind of suspect that it would kind of populate the match with both types there as a mixture, kind of being like, okay, well, you know what you're getting into already, here's more of that. So a follow-up question, I guess, is that a good or bad thing? Personally, I'm indifferent about it because I do think that both sides of the argument have valid points and concerns, and it's kind of just this situation that comes down to the core elements of the nature of crossplay as is, regardless of what game you play. Things like console players wanting to stay away from a platform more likely to have cheaters. I'm not saying every PC player is a cheater, but there's more likely going to be more cheaters on PC versus PC players not wanting to play a game with insane aim assist. Though I will say, a nice touch, Battlefield 6 doesn't appear to have anywhere near the levels of COD aim assist that a lot of people may be sort of used to and a little worried for, so that's definitely nice. So while as a PC player that may impact my matchmaking at its core, I do get it. I'm just impartial at the moment until I actually see it in action, but I'm sure in theory you can pick it apart either side of the aisle you're on of the argument. But anyways, core matchmaking was also expanded upon by developers, and it's going to be interesting because I feel like a lot of people are waiting for that other shoe to drop with a lot of stuff here with this, and honestly, I understand the skepticism, so it's easy to twist this sort of thing into engagement bait perhaps, but skill-based matchmaking was mentioned throughout the community. However, and perhaps I'm wrong, but from what we heard from developers and what was explained, it's not exactly what's happening. So it was said the four main factors to matchmaking in standard matches will be ping, player location, server availability, and some skill factor. These will also change based on mode and player counts. So yes, if you isolate that fourth and final pillar of those four, sure, you can say there's skill-based matchmaking. However, in the context of the priority of what was described, it does seem like it's just going to be a team balancing skill factor. Something even backed up by David Sirlin, lead producer on Battlefield 6, saying we need a skill value to make balanced teams, no matter the ranges of skills total on a server. Battlefield is at its best when you play the all-out war modes with friends and different types of players. We do not want to limit that. And this is something that no matter what your age or when your golden era of gaming was, it's always been there. Any official matchmaking queue will team balance going back decades at this point in these sort of main AAA titles that are available and out there now. This, with the team balancing as a post-it note on the skill factor mentioned, that's kind of akin to just about every Battlefield matchmaking system in place. So yes, while it's possible we could be wrong and it's kind of a rug pull. Until we actually see and get to that point, I don't know that I want to necessarily worry about it just yet. If I'm wrong, I'll absolutely eat my words. Like, I will 100% own that. But from what was described to us at the reveal from developers, it's not the system like Call of Duty that is just going to be absolutely agonizing. So we'll have to wait and see, but I just think that right now we should take it at face value rather than getting worked up over something that may or may not be happening just yet. We'll know in a few days. But anyways, I mean, if that's the case, if there's going to be any sort of possibility of that, well, is there going to be a server browser that we can skip that all entirely? Well, yes, but also no. Official matchmaking will not have a server browser that you can just jump into anything that you want of the official matchmaking. However, there will be a server browser in Portal at launch. This, if I'm understanding the concept of how they're trying to roll everything out properly with Portal, I don't know if it's going to be as big an issue as in the past. I'm not saying that it's still not going to be an issue for some players, but it might not be as much an issue as what we saw with, say, Portal 1 in 2042. So Portal is basically their sandbox this year again, but this time giving even more tools and agency to the community for this upcoming title. Now, we're going to expand upon this much more in a separate video, maybe tomorrow or like Wednesday or something like that, because honestly, I'm really excited to see where Portal goes with this, but it's a focus so much so that they're going to have things like community created content, like custom matches, servers, game modes, and so on the main menu of Battlefield 6. So there's going to be some curation to it that puts it in the player's immediate view, that they will have the opportunity and see it to be able to consciously choose that kind of stuff. Now, with this seeming commitment to long-term support and the fact that progression and XP will be one-to-one with the official matchmaking systems, I think that once again, this would be another one of those attempting to please everyone situations where the casual players will probably just jump in, queue up for standard matchmaking, and then the players that actually want to engage with a specific community, have stable map and mode rotations, perhaps like hardcore modifiers or something like that. I mean, we talked about it the other day when we mentioned Portal for the first time. This could basically be your 90 Hertz Operation Metro all weapons 24/7 1200 tickets moment. So if you have that and you have it front and center, it will be something that those casuals can just jump into regular matchmaking. But for those that want those custom curated dedicated communities to engage with, you're going to have that again, you're not going to lose out on anything really, because it's one-to-one with the progression with the official and base matchmaking. So I know that right now that's just sort of in theory. Until we actually see it in practice, we can't know for sure. But if that's the case, I don't think it's the worst route that we could have gone, and it stresses an importance on the upkeep of Portal that wasn't there in the first outing of 2042. So will there be server browser? Again, yes and no. It just depends on if you want the more dedicated and curated, potentially custom versions of the matchmaking versus not. Another thing that's huge to matchmaking is that of anti-cheat. So I guess all of that said now, will there be an anti-cheat? Yes. Battlefield 6 is going to run the Javelin anti-cheat, something that was first debuted relatively recently in Battlefield 2042 and has been a part of Battlefield Labs for a little bit now, but this is also dubbed that it's built from the ground up by a veteran team of engineers and analysts focused on studying the issues that cheating poses in a specific EA game and designing unique features to address those issues. Javelin is already part of the other Battlefield titles, including Battlefield Labs, and will be integrated into Battlefield 6 at launch. Now, I know what you're thinking. Yes, that's just all talk, and you're correct. It is. Right now, it's just PR jargon, but I do find a bit of hope in the fact that Vince Zampella himself has gone on to talk about how they know the work they need is going to be persistent with this, alluding to others even not doing it so great. If you know, you know. Their top leadership has also said it's got to be good and that it's an ongoing mission, but has to be right. And they dubbed it an obsession of theirs for the studios. So obviously, again, we won't know until it's out in the wild, but fingers crossed, I guess. One thing that I definitely do think we do need to mention for this topic is the requirement of secure boot at the moment with this, but that's as far as I'm really comfortable going with on this topic, other than it being a setting in your BIOS, being one of the root functions of your entire systems on PC. I truly don't know enough about the good, the bad, and everything in between. So my apologies, but I just simply do not know enough to expand beyond the mention of, hey, it's been noted that this will be a part of the game. I just don't necessarily feel comfortable speaking on something that I'm not too knowledgeable of, but know that going in. And finally, kind of rounding out on a more happier note, perhaps, or something that is a bit more I think just win-win no matter what. Cross-save and cross-progression will be with Battlefield 6 as well. So if you're somebody that wants to play on console or play on PC, or you end up jumping from Xbox to PlayStation, whatever the case, you can end up having all of your stuff you've grinded out to date up until that point transfer over directly one-to-one to whatever you log into next. So whether or not you say jump from the EA app that you get and you want to go to it on Steam, everything will be there one-to-one. You don't have to worry about losing anything or anything like that. So that is just about everything that we know about matchmaking and the matchmaking sort of systems in place, how you can engage with the game at the moment. So we'll see this all first start to take hold this upcoming Thursday with day one of the early access open beta for Battlefield 6 going into later this weekend, and then next weekend as well for even more time and hands-on. So that's where we're going to wrap it up. Just want to fill you guys in and keep you in the loop with all this kind of stuff. So drop your thoughts down below. Drop a like if you guys enjoyed the video. And make sure to subscribe for more Battlefield 6 content if you'd like to stay up to date with all things we have going on here. Again, we're only just getting started, so I'd love to have you in the community. For now, thanks so much for watching. My name is Espresso. I'll see you later. Take care and peace.